Alright, shalom. Shalom, all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to Els of GMS. Much love to you brothers on the four corners of the planet, the elect, which we're set up to wake up and we're set up to seal. Alright, through the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. We're in 2014, still here. Lord willing, the Most High come get us soon, man. So keep faith. We sent up those curses, and you're gonna see them coming to work, man, coming to pass. Because this past year, the Most High has been working for us, and He's been bringing this place down in a beautiful way. All right, we didn't go down overnight, so Esau ain't gonna go down overnight either. His kingdom is cut short though. Real quick, we're gonna get into this video. Russia's pretty much bringing out about, because you can see all these 9/11 truthers. Well, Russia's pretty much went in through the spirit and is bringing some stuff out, which has already been brought out through the internet and through alternative media. Okay. So locking my full screen is not working.
Daniel Bush, or top officials say the White House is behind the terrorism of their population and new evidence from 9/11. Coming up.
Whistleblowers leak U.S. talks with the head of Al-Qaeda. World Trade 7 is shown on Times Square. And the father of a Twin Towers victim tells us about being attacked by mainstream media.
Decades of terror against their own population blamed on extremists has actually been funded and planned by the White House. Top-level officials in the government and the CIA confirmed. A campaign known as Gladio is called by former CIA head Bill Colby a, quote, major operation. In sworn testimony, one of the conspirators confessed, "We have to attack civilians, the people, women, children, far removed from any political game, so authorities can bring in a state of emergency." Dr. Daniel Ganser, author of NATO's Secret Army.
You hear that? So they're pretty much trying to bring, we know these elites are trying to bring that martial law, because that chaos that's when they're going to get that power, man. You can't get power when everything's kosher and everything's calm, because there's no need for them to bring that martial law in, that warlike rule.
For coming on. So mainstream media don't report this, but it is now on the record and officially documented that decades of terror attacks against their own population are in fact organized by the CIA and the White House.
Operation Northwoods with evidence of Operation Gladio. We have the data now available, and then the people understand that this exists, but they still have a psychological moment where they have a hard time to believe that it still goes on, because it's bad news. You know, it basically means that terrorism can be manipulated in order to move people around like sheep, really. And if you're told you're sheep and you're being moved by false flag terrorism, I mean, this is really something you don't want to hear.
Yeah, we keep finding this term strategy of tension by the White House. What does it mean?
Strategy of tension actually means that you blow up a bomb and say your enemy did it. What we do have is evidence that this strategy of tension goes on. It's not over.
Bigger than Watergate, the FBI's Dennis Sacker calls US shielding Al-Qaeda leaders up to 2001 and reports veterans today still ongoing. FBI whistleblower Sybil Edmonds has exposed the, quote, innumerable regular meetings between US representatives and Bin Laden's deputy, now head of Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, leading up to September 2001. July 2001, FBI agents closing in on the 9/11 plotters were thrown off the case and threatened with prosecution. Then, when officers arrested Mohammed Khalifa, directly linked to America's most wanted terrorist, Ramzi Youssef, the Secretary of State himself intervened, had Khalifa immediately deported to Saudi and released.
People at the CIA were rich.
Let me read this real quick. This is Ecclesiasticus 10:1. And it says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. Alright, well, I read this to say, if your establishment is, if you're corrupt on your top, the top of your establishment, okay, as in your rulers, the whole society's corrupt. That's why the debt is as it is. That's why the infrastructure is breaking down. Okay, that's why you have all these policies and politics that are just in shambles, man. Okay, at one time America was a gem in the world because of the way it was ran. Elder Gabar brought this out and told you the infrastructure and the way, the waterways, all those things that kept America great are being looked down on. That's ignorant rulers, man. That's forgetting how this place was made great. Now they want to take it, and corruption is running deep. That goes into these international bankers. They're the ones really the rulers right now. Okay? And it says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government, it says, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man that rule of the city is, such are they that dwell therein. That's why the Most High set up teachers that teach us the right way, man. That set up rulers to rule the right way. Because that trickles down to the rest of the men. So that goes straight with the government also, is the unrighteousness ruling that's going on is now trickling down to every aspect of America, man. And it's now corrupt, breaking down, and getting ready to go into martial law. Okay, and getting ready to go into full free fall, as you may say. And it says, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but it says, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority the city shall be inhabited. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over one that is profitable. In the hand of the Most High is the prosperity of man, and upon the person of the scribe shall he lay his honor. Okay, that goes, and so that shows you the Most High is the one breaking down America and breaking it down, man. Prosperity is in the hands of the Lord. So if you're making it, you're excelling, that's the Most High blessing you, or he's letting that happen.
Not even speaking in retrospect, but contemporaneous with what the intelligence community knew. Khalifa's deportation was unreal.
Dr. Kevin Barrett is the author of Questioning the War on Terror. Great to speak to you. We actually have leaders admitting these terrorists are just tools.
And that's what Al-Qaeda is. It's a cat's paw for Western intelligence agencies. And we heard this from the Arab world's leading political commentator, Mohammed Hakel, who told us immediately after 9/11 that this official story of 9/11 is ridiculous. He said when he was at the highest levels of government in Europe, he was the one who was in charge of essentially infiltrating and virtually running so-called Al-Qaeda. He said Al-Qaeda is full of people from Saudi intelligence, from U.S. intelligence, Israeli intelligence, and of course Egyptian intelligence. It couldn't do anything on its own. British scholar Nafis Ahmad, who's one of the world's leading scholars of terrorism, one of the best, talks about an incident that happened in Turkey. I believe this was a little bit before 9/11. A high-level, supposed senior Al-Qaeda commander was arrested in Turkey. And the guards at the prison, who were devout Muslims, noticed that he wasn't praying. He was asking for pork. And they said, we thought you were a radical Muslim. And he kind of laughed and said, no, this is all just a strategy of tension.
This 9/11, the world's top physicists, pilots, engineers joined victims' families to sidestep the mainstream media wall of silence. Huge billboards on Times Square and across the states confront the fact most Americans don't know a third giant tower on 9/11 wasn't even hit by a plane, yet somehow collapsed in free fall. At 5:20 p.m., World Trade 7 suddenly, neatly and symmetrically just folded like a pancake.
This is high school physics. A building cannot do free fall with 40,000 tons of structural steel in its structural system without it being blown up.
The government version is that office fires made all 84 steel columns break at the same time. But there are other versions. John Cole's among thousands of leading independent experts with architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. Great to speak to you. So who did it?
Who didn't do it is the 19 hijackers that allegedly flew the plane. It is impossible. It is impossible to melt that steel by the office fires, the jet fuel, or the collapse itself. It's a physical impossibility. It cannot be replicated experimentally. It defies the laws of physics. If you set aside your politics, you set aside your beliefs and your religion, and you use the scientific method. World Trade Center 7 is basically a classic controlled demolition where a building free falls and comes straight down into virtually its own footprint. The only explanation that explains all the evidence, the nanothermite, the iron microspheres, the high temperatures found out there, the free fall, the uniform, what I call the uniform acceleration of the towers, when those came down, there was no impact or jolt when it hit the undamaged section below. Because there was no jolt, something blew those towers out, allowing it to uniformly accelerate downward. The only thing that makes any sense at all.
All right, and if you brothers want to look up, just Google nanothermite. I was just gonna pull up a video, but I think you brothers should go and look in the full documentary and do it yourself, okay?
Scientific perspective is that those towers were blown up.
John made a mockery of mainstream sites, Nat Geo and Poply.
That's it right here. This is the documentary. You just type in nanothermite 9/11 and it'll pull it up.
Mechanics who've desperately tried, for instance, to show 175 pounds of military nanothermite couldn't break the columns. John did it with just 1 pound.
Can thermite of any type burn through steel beams?
I guess it can.
Renowned librarian and researcher Elizabeth Woodworth has come in to help form the Consensus 9/11 panel.
She look like a librarian.
Uses best practice with the most rigorous peer review. Thanks so much for joining us. There's this remarkably high consensus among experts that the government version can't be right.
We have some of the top experts in the field who published in peer-reviewed scientific journals. And yet, these scientific journals exist, like the Herrott study, but they're never covered in the media. If people knew about the research, they would find it compelling. Dr. Griffin has said that he's never heard of anybody who saw the evidence, became converted to this point of view, and then changed back.
Yeah, the panel's made government already change its story and admits Skyscraper 7's freefall.
That's right. David Chandler is an extraordinary model maker. Chandler is on the panel, and he devised a model to prove that the top floors fell with no resistance. There's only one way that can happen, and that is that all the columns, there are 84 of these columns, that they were severed at the same moment.
Dr. Graham McQueen accessed the New York Fire Department records from that day. Thanks very much for joining us. Never broadcast by mainstream media, but more than 100 witnesses have even reported the explosives bringing down the Twin Towers.
Here was this roughly 10,000 pages of extremely rich eyewitness material. And I found that there were 118 people who clearly perceived explosions. You know, we have firefighters who are used to fighting high-rise fires, who are used to encountering smoke explosions in boilers, and yet they use words like bombs. You know, they don't identify it with the things we would expect.
Floor by floor instead of pounding out. It was if they had detonated. If they were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 all the way down.
Bob McAvane has wanted answers why the post-mortem of his son Bobby found his fatal injuries in